This is what James is trying to teach us. He's teaching us about what it takes to be better, to get through those trials and come out as a better person. You know, you can let your struggles get you down when they're actually designed to build you up. The truth of the scripture is that many people want to be better, but you don't become better just by wanting it. You become better by embracing the process that produces it. So let me tell you how to embrace the process to be better. So the place you need to come to, what you need to do is you need to embrace every trial so that you can grow. Embrace every trial so you can grow. He says in verse number 4, but let patience have her perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. It says patience produces its work, but you've got to allow it. You've got to be patient. Don't rush it. You've got to allow God to do what God is trying to do in you. Now, for those that do exercise or go to the gym, you'll be familiar with the term time under tension. Has anybody ever heard that before? Time under tension. And what this means is, if you want to develop a muscle, it develops and it grows when it spends time under tension. And that means that it spends time with that, resisting that weight. And so I remember going to work one day and I was talking about this to somebody. And they were like, no, you know what? They weren't getting it. So I said, so I have my bag that I take to work. So normally I take it to work. I've got my laptop. I've got all these files and folders. It's quite a heavy bag. So I said, listen, try curling this bag. So he picks it up and he's like, no problem. I said, okay, let's try that again. This time, I want you to pick it up like this and lower it down slowly. Now when he tried it, he could only do it twice. You know why? Because now he's bearing the weight a lot longer. Time under tension. But it's that time under tension that causes the muscle to grow. This is the principle that we're learning here. It's the time in the trial that causes you to become stronger. We want the trial to disappear right now. Oh, Lord, this is uncomfortable. I don't like this. Take this out of my life. Paul prayed 3 times. He said there was a thorn in my flesh. And I prayed 3 times that the Lord would just take it away. But Jesus said, my grace is sufficient for you. He said, I'm not taking you out of the trial. You know why? Because it's the trial that's making you better. Am I talking to somebody in here? And that's why Paul says, when I understood this, when Paul had a revelation about this, he says, I rejoice in my infirmities. I rejoice in my struggles. I rejoice when the things are happening in my life. Not because I like trouble, but because I understand that when I'm weak, that's when the strength of God is on me. Do you understand this? It's the time under tension. We want it to go right now. Take this out of my life. Lord, I can't take this no more. Lord, you better take this away today or I'm going to quit. And God is saying, you prayed and said, I want to be better. Oh, Lord, I want to love people more. Who's ever prayed that? I want to be more loving. And you think God is just going to zap your heart from heaven and your heart is just going to get enlarged. You're just going to love everyone. That's not how it works. You know how you're going to become loving? He's going to send you unlovable people. He's going to send you difficult people that just get on your nerves so that you can learn to love them. Time under tension. Is somebody hearing this? Oh, Lord, I just want to be more trusting. I want to have more trust in your provision. And I just want to be able to trust you in my finances and see my finances grow. And you think God is just going to click his fingers from heaven and you're just going to have £1 million in your bank account that you don't have to worry no more. You know what's going to happen? You know what's more likely? The money's going to fail. And now you're going to have to learn to trust God when there's no money. Are you understanding this? This is how it works. Am I talking to anybody in here? So there's two things you're going to have to do. It's by trusting in the cross and growing in his grace. So trusting in the cross. The cross of God promises you, listen to me, listen. The cross of Jesus promises you that God is taking you somewhere better. When you look at the cross, what you ought to be reminded is that this bloodstained cross tells me that God stepped out of heaven and took me from where I was, and he's taking me to somewhere better. That is what the cross ought to remind you of. You need to grow. You need to understand this. You need to trust in the promise of this cross, because what God will do, what he's going to whatever God brings you to, whatever trials, whatever he takes you through, you come out of the other side better. That's what happened to you. If you cling to this cross, if you hold on, listen to what James says. Job 23 verse 10. He says, he has knowledge of the way that I take, and after I've been tested, I will come out like gold. He says, God knows the steps of my life, and he's going to take me through some things, but I'm going to come out of the other side as gold. I'm going to come out better than I went in. And this is what Job understood. He said, listen, God has taken me through some things, but I'm going to go through these struggles, but I'm going to come out better. I'm going to go through this pain, but I'm going to come out better. I'm going to go through these trials, but I'm going to come out better. There's going to be disappointments, but I'm going to come out better. I might be crying tears right now, but I'm going to come out better because God has taken me to a better place. How do I know? I look at the cross, and the cross tells me God has taken me somewhere. Oh, I told you, this is the prosperity message. This will cause you to prosper in your life. You got to trust him during those difficult times. Listen to what Job says, Job 13:15. He says, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. He says, listen, I don't care what difficulties God allows in my life, I will trust him. There might be no money in the bank, but I trust him. The doctor might say I'm sick and they got no cure, but I'll trust him. My kids are going half crazy. They're smoking crack out on the road, but I trust him. I could have lost my job, but I trust him. People could have turned their back on me, but I trust him. Why? Because when I look at the cross, it promises me that he's taking me somewhere. I hope somebody's getting this. I trust him. Though things are going wrong in my life, I trust him. Though there's trials everywhere I turn, I trust him. How can I trust God? How could I know that God is trustworthy? I know that he's trustworthy because while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While we were rebels against God, Christ died for us. When we were still shaking our fist at God, Christ died for us. Do you think that God just loved you when you cleaned up your act and came to church? Listen, if God didn't love you, you wouldn't have pulled you out of your sin. You wouldn't be here tonight. So I trust him. You got to trust in the cross